This is BRICS Global Television Network's weekly roundup. We begin with the headlines. Deepfakes spread misinformation in India. The ANC loses another court battle against the MK party. China's war on corruption gains ground. And epidemic agents mitigate the spread of dengue fever in Brazil. Hello, I'm Juliet Newell. We begin in India, where there are growing concerns about the use of deepfake technology and social media to spread misinformation during the elections. Around 1 billion people are casting their ballots over the 6-week voting period, which got underway on April the 19th and will continue until June the 1st. BGTN's Yolanda Pondo has more.
Last week, X was ordered to take down social media posts containing political speech. The social media platform obliged, despite X-owner Elon Musk saying he didn't agree with the order and that freedom of expression should extend to these posts and political speech in general. There's also the problem of deepfakes that have the potential to spread misinformation and manipulate public opinion. 2 deepfake videos using 2 of India's A-list Bollywood stars are doing the rounds. They show the actors criticizing Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and call on voters to put their X next to the opposition, the Congress political party, on ballot papers. A deepfake is a synthetic media technique that uses artificial intelligence to create or manipulate audio, images, or videos to make individuals appear to say or do things that they do not actually say or do. This technology has raised concerns about the potential to spread misinformation, deceive the public, and manipulate public opinion, particularly in the content of political campaigns and elections. Authorities have been urged to watch out for these misleading videos aimed at defaming political opponents and, in some cases, inciting violence. Yolanda Pondo, BGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Meanwhile, in South Africa, with elections in just a month's time, the African National Congress has taken former President Jacob Zuma's MK party to court again and lost again. Last month, the ANC approached the courts to have the new party disqualified from participating in the elections, citing improper registration. The case was dismissed. BGTN's Kakangofe has the details.
In the latest court battle, the ANC accused the MK party of trademark theft, saying it's using the exact name of the governing party's armed wing, Umkhonto Wesizwe. But the Durban High Court has ruled in favor of the MK party and dismissed these allegations of intellectual property theft with costs. The ANC is not backing down and has vowed to take the matter to the highest court in the land.
The ANC will be appealing the matter to stop and prohibit the unlawful use of the ANC's trademark symbols and heritage by Mr. Zuma's party, currently referring to itself as the Umkhonto Wesizwe party. We are not opposed to the Zuma party's presence on the ballot. However, in bringing this case, the ANC is defending its intellectual property, the legacy of the liberation struggle for future generations.
For now, though, it's a win for Jacob Zuma, who was ousted from the ANC in 2018 due to a raft of corruption allegations. The former president's bid to rebuild his political career at the age of 82 appears to be impacting the ANC support base, with expectations that the MK party will lure some of the governing party's voters in the upcoming elections. The ANC, which has dominated South African politics for 3 decades following the end of apartheid in 1994, faces mounting pressure from voters amidst enduring challenges which include rampant unemployment, deepening poverty, surging violent crime rates, pervasive government corruption, and an ongoing electricity crisis. The analysts speculate that the ANC's grip on power may be at risk in the upcoming election, with the MK party among several contenders poised to sway electorate's vote share. South Africa's new National Assembly and provincial legislature will be chosen on the 29th of May in the country's 7th democratic elections. Kakangofe, BGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
And South Africa is facing another problem, fake food. It's a complex issue that authorities can't seem to get under control. And it's not just about goods being brought into the country illegally, they're also being manufactured and produced in South Africa illegally. BGTN's Ingam Zileni reports.
From fake cans of beans to fake cool drinks and even pharmaceutical products, manufacturing illegal products in South Africa appears to be widespread.
No. Take it out. You put them now when we are coming. No.
The items then are sold in spaza shops around the country, mostly in townships. So, what are spaza shops? Spaza shops play an important role in South African townships. They are essentially convenience stores catering to millions of people who live in poor communities. There are roughly 150,000 spaza shops scattered across South Africa, according to a recent report by Accenture Africa. The estimated market value collectively is around $9.5 billion. Major retailer Shoprite is reportedly smaller in comparison. Almost a quarter of South Africans live in townships, a captive audience for these informal traders, and around 40% of the country's annual food spend goes to spaza shops. You'd be forgiven for thinking these impressive numbers represent a win for South African economy. But the ever-increasing influx of migrants from Africa and further afield has meant many spaza shops are no longer run and owned by South Africans. Not only does the local economy suffer, but it also means rules and regulations are often flouted or ignored. This is what makes it so difficult for authorities to keep tabs on informal traders. And without rules and regulations in place, all sorts of other problems creep in.
The norms and standards indicate that inspections must be done at least once a quarter, meaning that there must be 4 inspections in a year. It covers all food premises, whether it's spaza shops, whether it's production, small scale, big scale, they are all covered under this regulation.
What is fake food? The term fake foods is used to describe products smuggled into South Africa illegally. Expired food products, illegal manufacturing of food, rebranding, and in some cases, poisoned food products. But are authorities doing enough to cap the ever-growing problem? In October last year, the community of Naledi in Soweto was rocked by a shocking incident. 4 children fell ill after allegedly consuming biscuits bought from a local spaza shop. 2 of the children, 2 young boys, died. The others, 2 girls, were hospitalized. We tracked down the family of one of the boys who died, 4-year-old Neo Kang, and his sister Katego Mbata, to find out more about this tragedy. A heart-wrenching experience for the family whose 2 children were victims of this alleged crime.
What will bring joy in my heart is if this matter is taken to court, where everyone will say their piece about what exactly happened. The people who came here and promised to get justice for us must also come and not disappoint us. The shops should have been closed until the matter is finalized in court.
Initially, when the incident happened, the shop behind me was closed for 2 months. After that, the police, the community and the councillor agreed that the shop must reopen, regardless of a pending case. Till this day, Mema Tota is still waiting for test results to ascertain what substance was inside the biscuits that claimed the life of a little boy.
In southern China, flooding has claimed the lives of at least 4 people and forced more than 100,000 people to evacuate their homes. Some of the victims are trying to salvage what they can as they brace for more heavy rains to come. The Guangdong province, home to around 127 million people, is the most severely affected. Heavy downpours have led to mudslides and flooding. Many roads have been submerged and some residents have been making their way through the streets in boats. And as floodwaters subside, the province's Meteorological Bureau says there's more to come, forecasting up to 300 millimeters of rain in some areas. The central government has set aside around 100 million yuan, that's roughly 14 million US dollars, in emergency relief. The funds will also be used in adjacent areas including the Jiangxi province and Guangxi region. Authorities are blaming worsening climate change for the recent torrential rains. Staying in China, China's investment drive in the Maldives has been given a boost following President Mohamed Muizzu's party, the People's National Congress's parliamentary victory last year. He's promised a boom in the construction of apartments, bridges and airports, which will be funded by China. And while China is moving in, it appears India is moving out. 89 Indian troops are being evicted. Muizzu wants them out on or before May the 10th. This as the Maldives has now signed a military assistance deal with China. Muizzu, largely viewed as pro-China, has previously claimed the deployment of Indian troops was an affront to the Maldivians. He says his country is capable of patrolling their own waters. But cozying up to China comes with its own set of challenges. That's according to Western nations who warn loan-funded infrastructure projects are tantamount to a debt trap for developing nations. In Brazil, the country is facing a crisis as health officials battle against the spread of dengue fever. It's a mosquito-borne viral infection that causes symptoms including high fever, severe headaches, joint and muscle pain, nausea, vomiting, rash and mild bleeding, such as nosebleeds or gum bleeding. In severe cases, dengue can progress to a potentially life-threatening condition known as dengue hemorrhagic fever, characterized by bleeding, plasma leakage and organ impairment. BGTN Brazil correspondent Chris Goldenbaum has spent some time with epidemic agents. He explains what they're doing to mitigate the spread of the disease.
This year, Brazil is in the midst of a dengue fever epidemic. Dengue fever is a tropical disease that spreads through the bite of infected mosquitoes, carrying the dengue virus. In severe cases, the disease can lead to hospitalization or even death. So far this year, the number of cases has already more than doubled compared to the numbers reported in 2023. Out of nearly 4 million cases, 1,725 deaths have been reported. Several measures are being taken to control the spread of the disease, which causes symptoms like muscular pain, fever, weakness, and facial pain. A vaccine is also available. One of the most common ways to prevent the spread of mosquitoes is to stop them from reproducing. The Endemic Agents Program in São Paulo sends health agents into neighborhoods to inspect people's houses to make sure that they are not providing breeding grounds for mosquitoes. BGTN followed the agents on a mission. Robson Piangetti and his team visit as many houses as possible in areas with positive cases to eliminate potential mosquito breeding sites.
O trabalho ele é ininterrupto, o ano todo. A gente tem ações de prevenção e ações de correção.
Our work is continuous. All year we have actions of prevention and actions of correction. Today it's a correction action. Our focus is to eliminate breeding of mosquitoes and attend to complaints. Next week we'll be back here to apply the insecticide to eliminate the adult mosquitoes. Today you watched us eliminate the mosquitoes in the larvae phase.
Acompanhando aqui na reportagem, vocês podem acompanhar que a gente fez a eliminação de fases larvárias.
As I follow the agents, I notice they are welcomed in some houses, while ignored in others. It's also common for neighbors to view agent visits as an opportunity to express their concerns about other houses that are not being cared for enough. This is exactly what happened here. The residents informed the agents about a place on their neighbor's roof that was inaccessible and collecting rainwater, providing the ideal scenario for mosquitoes whose eggs can survive up to a month in such an environment. At another house, we discover an abandoned water tank containing stagnant water and an abundance of mosquito larvae. According to Piangetti, this is very likely to be from the Aedes aegypti, the dengue mosquito. After collecting maggots for laboratory testing, the agents clean up the area next to Ms. Rosa Lemos' house.
I'm very worried. So when I see the mosquito, I go and kill it because I don't know if it's a dangerous mosquito. Because I'm already an old person. I'm 77. If the mosquito bites me, it's cause for concern.
If someone contracts dengue at Lemos' age, the chances of a difficult recovery or death are significantly higher. Fortunately, Lemos and her neighbors are no longer living near this breeding ground. Perhaps the best way to prevent a health issue to grow is the cooperation between citizens and public agents. With the Endemic Program Agency, São Paulo is giving a true lesson on how to fight this issue. Chris Goldenbaum, BGTN, São Paulo, Brazil.
In Ethiopia, as millions of people face starvation due to several factors including droughts, political instability and poverty, the situation in some areas is getting worse due to conflict. Tensions in the Tigray-Amhara region have intensified in recent weeks. The ongoing battle mainly revolves around land disputes. Somalia, a country bordering Ethiopia, is facing similar crises. Drought and conflicts are exacerbating the already dire humanitarian situation in the region. BGTN's founder, Paula Slier, visited a camp for internally displaced people just outside of Mogadishu.
People already started coming here years ago because of drought, because of famine, because of conflict in their areas. This situation has deteriorated a lot since the wheat and grain crisis began just over a year ago. I've never seen a squatter camp quite so dire as this one. It's extremely dry, it's extremely hot. This is one of the worst droughts and possibly the worst famine that this part of Africa has ever faced in its history. And that's why it's being called the biggest genocide ever.
This is a $1 million question. We still don't understand why other media attention is given to other major conflicts. And I understand there are other major conflicts, there are people suffering, but also we're talking about almost 30 million people have been affected in this region.
The situation we are dealing in Somalia is beyond our capacity. Al-Shabaab is a big factor. They are making our life very difficult. So we really want to hope in our donors to look Somalia in different lenses.
So you're looking at a famine that is going to kill millions of people here. I'm here on the outskirts of the capital city of Somalia, Mogadishu, at an internally displaced camp. There are literally tens of thousands of people here, many who've come from all different parts of the country. Now, people started coming here years ago already because of drought, because of famine, because of conflict in their areas. But the situation has deteriorated a lot since the wheat and grain crisis began a year ago following the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now, all around us is security. They've told us we don't have more than a few minutes here. And as one of them explained to me that within seconds of us arriving, one of the people here was on a cell phone, was warning Al-Shabaab sympathizers or militants themselves that there is a foreign filming crew here and they will be on their way here to watch us and see if it's worth attacking us. So we have a huge security presence with us. We're here for literally just a few moments. The situation here is dire indeed. I've seen children walking around with no shoes. That's commonplace. You have people coming and begging us for food and asking for handouts. You have, as you can see, the conditions in which people are living in these plastic-made tents. I mean, I've never seen a squatter camp quite so dire as this. It's extremely dry. It's extremely hot. This is one of the worst famines and possibly the worst famine that this part of Africa has faced ever in the history, and that's why it's being called the biggest genocide ever. And this is a country that traditionally has grown wheat and grain, but because of climate change and because of the fact that there have been 6 seasons without rainfall, you have a situation now that no wheat and grain can be grown here. The country is relying and has been relying for years on the wheat and grain that it gets from Russia and Ukraine, and those supplies for the better part of a year have completely dried up. So you're looking at a famine that is going to kill millions of people here.
To see this full documentary, visit our YouTube channel, BRICS Global Television Network. And coming up, in BRICS business, BRICS nations are pressing ahead to do business among themselves to build companies and grow their economies. And we look at China's ongoing fight against corruption. But first, BGTN has a brand new show coming soon. Here's a little teaser.
Well, here we have it. Time to turn things around. You caught the taxi and watched the money drain out of your account. Now we're going to pay you if you are lucky enough to catch our taxi. Small problem. You've got to know a few things about BRICS. No, not the stuff you build your house with. Welcome to the BRICS on Wheels show.
BRICS nations are pressing ahead to do business among themselves to build companies and grow their economies. Since the meeting of the BRICS nations in South Africa last year, the BRICS Business Councils moved to unify initiatives in member states. The South African chapter of the council comprises mainly of local corporations who are working together in a number of areas to make sure prices are competitive. Ray White spoke to outgoing head of Business Unity South Africa, Cas Cavadia, and asked him about investment and a possible BRICS currency.
Cas Cavadia, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us. Shouldn't we see China, shouldn't we see India getting together with the South African businessmen, the other members of BRICS Plus, to discuss what's going on in the world of business, how they can benefit, how the countries can benefit? It's great to have a conference every single year, but what about business? Let's get down to business.
Let's not talk in the run-up to summits. We should be now planning, and they are doing that, we should now be planning to see what's important for South Africa, how we interact with our other BRICS partners at a business level, to put on the table what's important for us and to try and achieve that, to hear what's important for them, and then to see how we work at a business level on promoting investment and trade. And I think that's what we need to do, so that even when we get to the summit in Russia next year or later this year, we as South African business know exactly what we want.
And then, of course, South Africa and its jobs problem, unemployment sitting at about officially 35%, unofficially way higher than that. You would think that BRICS could be a solution to this, because President Cyril Ramaphosa said investment, when that comes in, that sees jobs being created. This doesn't seem to be happening, though.
Let's be absolutely clear and let me be frank. None of the BRICS countries owe us any favors, and we don't owe them any favors, okay? This works if it works on sound, fundamental economic principles. China is not going to do us any favors. They're going to invest here if they see a return on their investment in Chinese business, and similarly with others. And that's why I say that if we think that being part of BRICS is automatically going to deal with our unemployment problem, or with our poverty problem, or with our inequality problem, then we need to start thinking again. That's why I say that we've got to do what we need to do. So the partnership between business and government currently on energy, on logistics, and on crime and corruption, where we're working with government to build government's capacity to get some of the basics right, on the back of which we can, with confidence, tell our BRICS partners and others, we have done what we need to do to make South Africa an attractive investment environment. Come and invest. Come and work with us on infrastructure. Come and work with us on energy. whatever other BRICS countries have. So that, and also to talk to them about us investing in those countries. But that's what we've got to do. We've got to get those fundamentals right. BRICS, neither BRICS, nor the US or Europe or anybody else or other parts of the continent are a panacea to the problems that we have. We have to deal with those problems ourselves. We need to ensure that we are a good investment destination, and with that investment we then grow our economy. And that's how these things work, no other way.
Something else that is problematic for South Africa is the rand. You would have seen over the past decade that the rand has lost much of its value to the dollar and to others as well. You would think, though, with the BRICS currency, you put all of us together, then South Africa may be shielded from this because we are tied into others, I suppose.
No, so sure. And again, I have no problems with the BRICS currency. But let's not pretend that it's going to happen overnight. Even the renminbi at the moment, if you compare the renminbi's international and global usage to what the dollar is, it's still very small. Right? It will grow, absolutely. But what's China's concentration at the moment? It is to make its currency a global currency, not the BRICS currency, right? And India's concentration at the moment. So I think we need to recognize that there are national interests. We need to bring those national interests together in the interest of BRICS, but the BRICS currency and the BRICS payment system will take time to put together. In the meantime, as a build-up toward that, we need to get the investment and economics right. Let me also just say about the rand. The rand is, I think, still the 13th most traded currency in the world. Okay, so it's a very well-respected currency, all right? And being so heavily traded, it is volatile at times. What we need to do, and we can't be responsible for global development that have a negative impact on the rand, but we can be responsible for local developments. And I think what we need to do, if we get the fundamentals right, if we say we are open for business and there's no but behind that sentence, if we say that we've got the visas right, we've got our logistics right, we're cutting down on crime and corruption, and therefore investors start coming in, that immediately has a positive impact on the rand. So what we can do, what is within our power, let's do that. And then let's manage volatility as a result of global considerations.
In China, there have been some developments in the country's ongoing fight against corruption. The former head of China's central bank, Liu Liyong, has admitted he accepted bribes and provided loans illegally during his time as chairman of the Bank of China from 2019 to 2023. The court case is the culmination of an investigation launched by the Communist Party's top anti-graft watchdog last year, following suspicions of severe violations of party rules. This investigation and subsequent court battle forms part of a Chinese President Xi Jinping's aggressive campaign to root out corruption in his government. Earlier this month, the Bank of China's former Deputy Governor Fan Yifei was also accused of accepting bribes during his tenure. And Li Xiaoping, the former head of Chinese state-owned banking giant Everbright Group, has also been investigated following allegations of severe violations of the law. Staying in China, the United States and China remain at odds over several issues, including trade and technology. Top US diplomat Antony Blinken's been in talks with China to try and find a way forward in the steel and aluminium tariff hike issue, the TikTok matter, and others. China's been under increasing pressure from the US as President Joe Biden calls for an increase in steel and aluminium tariffs on Beijing. America also launched an investigation into China's shipbuilding, maritime and logistics sectors' trade practices. China's unimpressed, claiming the US has no leg to stand on. And in the TikTok matter, the US Senate's approved laws that could result in TikTok shutting down in America should the social media app refuse to divest from Chinese parent company ByteDance. This comes as US officials claim Beijing collects data and spies on users through the app. There are 170 million TikTok users in America alone. China says the claims are untrue and that TikTok is not subservient to Beijing. Coming up, BRICS sport. Before that, take a look at what's coming to BGTN soon.
Round 3. Let's go. Right hand on 3 for super.
In your sport, with 3 months to go until the Paris 2024 Summer Olympic Games gets underway, Russian athletes are at pains to decide whether to take part. Between 36 and 54 Russian athletes are expected to qualify to compete in Paris, but they'd have to agree to participate as neutral athletes. This would mean they cannot compete under the Russian flag and won't be allowed to sing the national anthem. They cannot participate in team events either. And if an athlete has any links to the military or has expressed any support for Russia's war on Ukraine, they'll be banned. As for the opening ceremony, it's also a no to Russian and Belarusian athletes. These are the conditions set out by the International Olympic Committee and are applicable to Russian athletes. These restrictions also apply to Belarus, a Russian ally. The IOC rules have been set out in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin's questioning the regulations and wants the Russian Olympic Committee and Sports Ministry to provide suggestions on whether Russian athletes should participate in the Paris Games. And Saudi Arabia's Sports Ministry has plans to double the seating capacity of Riyadh's Prince Faisal bin Fahd Stadium to 45,000 seats as it prepares to host the 2027 Asian Football Confederation Asian Cup. This initiative is part of the country's $2.7 billion capital projects program aimed at constructing sports stadiums. The ministries called for proposals with bids due to be submitted by June the 14th. Additionally, a contract has been awarded for the expansion and development of the Prince Mohammed bin Fahd Stadium in Dammam, with completion expected ahead of the 2027 AFC Asian Cup. The program includes the development of training facilities near the stadiums to be used for the competition, with construction set to begin in July 2024 and be completed by December 2025. Ensuring 18 facilities are ready for the 2026 AFC Women's Cup. And coming up, BGTN spreads the love at a squatter camp in Krugersdorp. And a little bit of fun, BGTN finds out what people out and about know about BRICS.
These people appreciate the food that BGTN provides. They would ask if you can extend the month that you bring the food here. And they would like if you can help them with some of the clothes if you have. Because some of them are not working, some of them are not getting grants. They are still on the street there begging for money so that they can provide for themselves. And those who are not working, who are on wheelchairs, they bring their bags here, we put food inside the bags and we deliver the food from there every 5 days of the week.
And sometimes when the people get up, it gets shared out, sometimes not.
Well, from Monday to Friday they give food at 3 o'clock. They give some clothes, here come sponsors to also give some groceries and stuff. So that's how the community helps.
My wishes is I must get a job and get a better life and get out of here.
I would like to see myself somewhere else, out of this place.
Well, it has to do with global warming and all these other effects that are affecting the planet, if I can say. So they discuss it and find ways on, or they try to find solutions as to how they'll take care of it or how they will work on reversing the effects, especially like your global warming and stuff.
Well, the joint venture that all these countries have, taken part in, trying to assist each other in different associations in their individual, separate countries, I should say.
I once heard something on Top Gear where they said BRICS is like a cheap version of what the economy is trying to be right now. So yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
That BRICS is gonna be our future economy rescue in terms of banks and currency and imports and exports, exchange. Yes.
I would say the development of countries not necessarily favored by the West.
It's like you're talking about mortar. Yeah, more like a building brick. We're building a new narrative, a new community, and also it's more about introducing new mastery, and making sure that, especially South Africa, as the lead in Africa, takes the lead in such in order to also liberate, African countries, and make sure that we also develop our own economy.
That's your BRICS Roundup for this week. Until next time, check out our social media for daily updates.